Hello everybody, welcome to a new weekly reading vlog, and this is actually week 1 of the Make Your Myth-taker readathon. This is a readathon inspired by mythology. There are lots of different paths you can follow to become different mythical figures. I am following the paths of Monarch and of Assassin, and I'm starting out with the path of Monarch, so I'm going to tell you all about what I'm currently reading for that. Although I have to admit that it's actually already Wednesday, so the Make Your Myth-taker readathon started on Monday. It lasts for the entirety of June, so that's really nice. It is a month-long readathon and it gives you a lot of opportunity to read and complete the readathon. You can read a few books, you can go crazy and follow a lot of different paths. That is why I'm so excited to be participating. But yeah, as I said, it's already Wednesday, so I'm still following my somehow tradition that I start weekly reading vlogs somehow halfway through the week. Always forget to film the first couple of days. But anyway, I have a lot of reading updates for you guys and to tell you how I'm doing with reading and how I am doing with the Make Your Myth-taker readathon. So for the first challenge of the path of Monarch, I have been reading The Other Boleyn Girl by Philippa Gregory. The challenge is to read a book that has a queen as a main character. This book is actually about Mary Boleyn, who was the sister of Queen Anne Boleyn. But Anne Boleyn is also a very prominent figure in this story, and it's also basically her story, but through the eyes of Mary Boleyn, who was the other Boleyn girl. So I still think it counts. I still think she is one of the main character, so that is why I'm just going with it. The Other Boleyn Girl is a book that I've read many times before. I really love it. It is one of the first things that introduced me to the story of Queen Anne Boleyn. And in case you don't know, I really love history. I study history, and Anne Boleyn is like my favorite historical figure ever. So I love to read about her and I love to know more things about her. And even though The Other Boleyn Girl is not very nice about Anne Boleyn as a person, I still really love the story because I love to see it from sort of a different perspective. And even though it's not completely historically accurate, it is still very enjoyable, and I just will always appreciate this book because it was one of the things that introduced me to history and just the love for history. Even though again, this book is very much dramatized and over the top, and it's not something that you should read if you want to know the true story and like the historical facts. But anyway, I really love it and I am rereading this once again. I thought it would be very fitting since I'm sort of like trying to channel a Anne Boleyn vibe as my Make Your Myth-taker readathon character. So it is the first book that I'm currently reading. I'm listening to the audiobook, which I can very much recommend. It is narrated by Vanessa Kirby, who played Princess Margaret in the earlier seasons of The Crown, and she has such an amazing, soothing voice. I love to listen to her and I love to listen to this book in general. And yeah, let me see, how far am I with it? Page 333, so that is a nice number. Yeah, I'm already more than halfway through the book. I've been listening to it. I actually started it a little bit earlier than June, so yeah, maybe that's sort of cheating, but I still think it counts because I finished it in June, so let's just go with it. This is the audiobook that I'm listening to, and as always, I have a brilliant time listening to the audiobook. Just really like this book and this story. That is it for my audiobook. I'm also reading a physical book, and even though you're supposed to like follow the path and read one book at a time, I always read 2 books because I have one audiobook and one physical book. So that is how I'm doing it right now as well. And the second book on my Monarch path was to read a book with one of the royal colors on the cover, and that is either red, gold or purple. So I chose a book with a purple cover, and that is Out of the Easy by Ruta Sepetys. Maybe it's more of a lilac lavender color, but still, we're going with it. Out of the Easy tells the story of a young girl named Josie, and she lives in the French Quarter in New Orleans in the 1950s. Her mother is a prostitute, so that's very much the environment that she has grown up in, and she's very much looking for a way out of New Orleans towards a better life. But then at the beginning of the book, a mysterious death sort of shakes things up, and then we follow Josie throughout her story and her life. Again, I've read quite a bit of it already. Let me see the page number, 207. So I've been reading this as well since like last Saturday. Again, a bit earlier than you're supposed to with the Make Your Myth-taker readathon, but I had finished all my current reads, so I just wanted to start with them, and that is what I did. So I've been reading this, I'm more than halfway through again, and yeah, so far I'm actually really liking it. I like the atmosphere, I like the story, I like Josie as a main character, and she feels very fleshed out as a character. You really get to see her life and all the people that she knows and sort of the environment and the surroundings and everything. It's hard to explain, but I really like that sort of thing. I love that it has a historical setting and that it's telling having so many different stories within one story and that it's about so many things. I really love Readathon's other works, which is Salt to the Sea and Between Shades of Grey. This one sort of feels a bit different in its style and the way it is written, but I still really enjoy it. I don't think it's going to be a 5-star read because I still think Between Shades of Grey and Salt to the Sea are better, but this one is also a good one, and it's also a fairly quick read. You can get through it quite easily. So yeah, very happy with this book choice as well. And yeah, I'm just going to read those, and I feel like my main goal for this week is to finish those 2 books. And I think I can very much manage that. That shouldn't be too difficult, and then it's on to my next read for the Malakpad. But first, let's finish these 2 books and see how everything goes after that. Okay, time for another update. It is now Friday. I didn't film anything yesterday on Thursday because I wasn't feeling completely well. I had a massive headache. I was in no state to film anything. Also because of that, I didn't really read all that much today, but I still think it is time to update you on a couple of things. First of all, because of the circumstances in the world and everything that is going on, the hosts of the Make Your Mythtaker Readathon have made a couple of announcements on their Twitter page. Basically that all the rules of the Readathon are now lifted. It is still going on, but you can basically choose whatever prompts you want to become whatever character you want to. And a couple of events are cancelled, but overall it is still going on if you want this Readathon as a sort of distraction or as sort of a guideline on what you want to read. So overall, it's just do with this readathon whatever you want, whatever you feel comfortable with. And I will leave a link to the Twitter page of the Make Your Mythtaker Readathon down below in the description box if you want to read it for yourself and if you want to stay updated on everything that is going on with the readathon. For me, I'm not sure in how much I'm going to follow my TBR. I think I want to read still some of those books, but also if I want to change something or I want to read something else, I'm not going to be too difficult about it. But for right now, I'm still going to finish the 2 books that I was currently reading. So first of all, that is of course still The Other Berlin Girl by Philippa Gregory. I've listened to more of this, and as you can see, I am almost done with it. Don't have a lot of new thoughts or updates on this book because again, it's one that I've read many times before, that I always enjoy. I always enjoy to read about the story of Queen Anne Boleyn and everything around it. And still the audiobook is very relaxing, very soothing, so I still have a great time listening to it. And then for my other book, which was of course Out of the Easy by Readathon. With this one, I'm currently at page, let me see, 233. I'm not sure on which page I was when I last updated you guys. Anyway, I didn't read much of it yesterday, but I did read more of it on Wednesday. So I am making progress with it and still enjoying it. I still think it's a very good book. It is not going to be a new favorite. It is not like a book that will stick with me for a long time. I think there's definitely a lot to it, but it doesn't have that special feeling that books that you know are going to be new favorites, new all-time favorites. It doesn't really have that. So I think as of right now, it's on its way to become a 4-star read because I do still really like the story, and as I mentioned before, the atmosphere and the environment and everything that is going on in this world and Josie's life. So I am having a good time reading it. I think it's the perfect book for right now. It is a good book that I definitely enjoy reading, but it's not so good that it's distracting me or like consuming me, because I know some amazing books will definitely take up all my attention and all my time, and this book right now is just perfect to be a fun distraction, a fun way to pass some time, but I still have like space in my head left for other important things. Hope that sort of makes sense. It sounds a bit weird, and I will definitely read more of it today now that I don't like have a massive headache anymore. And yeah, I think I should be able to finish it somewhere this weekend because it is, again, not too long and I'm making my way through it. So I'm just going to try to make that happen. And again, also the same with The Other Berlin Girl. Later today, I'm also expecting a book package. I've ordered some new books, which I'm very excited about. So I have that to look forward to. And then apart from that, today it's just mostly working on school again, because that's a big part of my life right now. I just have so much to do for school and just hoping that I can make it another productive day and get some things done. time for some more reading news. With Out of the Easy, I can be very short because again, I didn't read anything of it last night. Don't know exactly why, I just didn't really feel like it, but you know, that happens. But on the bright side, I did read a lot more of The Other Berlin Girl and I've almost finished it. I am now on page, let me see, 464, so yeah, only a tiny bit left and I'm sure I will finish that bit tomorrow or maybe even tonight, who knows. Anyway, this one will be finished very soon and I'm now at the ending. And if you know the story of Anne Boleyn, then you know how this book is going to end. And yeah, I'm sort of bracing myself for that part because no matter how many times I read it, the ending is always something. I think that's the best way to express it without spoiling things. So when it comes to reading, not that many updates. It has been an okay reading week, but not like insanely good. It's just been on and off. Sometimes I felt like reading a lot, other times I didn't feel like reading at all, but overall I have to say I am very pleased with how my sort of progress is going with the Make Your Myth-taker readathon. Apart from not having read anything of Out of the Easy for the past 2 days, but I'm sure that will be fine. I can catch up on that. But then now for something completely different. As I mentioned yesterday, I got a package in the mail with new books, so I'm going to do a little book haul for you guys because I'm so excited about all of these books and I cannot wait to show them to you. The first one is Opposite of Always by Justin A. Reynolds. This is a contemporary but with a bit of a twist. It is about a boy named Jack and a girl named Kate. They meet at a party and they fall in love with each other. But then 6 months later, Kate dies, and at the moment that she dies, Jack is being transported back to the moment that he first met her at that party. He doesn't understand why, but he takes this chance to save Kate and prevent her from dying, but doing this has other consequences that he did not think about. So it's sort of like a time traveling thing, but I'm not sure. It sounds interesting and tragic and beautiful, and I was so intrigued by that premise. I already cannot wait to read this and find out what is going to happen, how it's going to happen, and I just love premises with such a unique twist like that, so that is why I was very excited to buy this one. And then next up I have one that I'm not completely sure in which genre I should put it because it's again kind of a unique premise, but that is Kindred by Octavia E. Butler. It's about a woman named Dana who lives in 1976 and she has a weird connection with a boy named Rufus. The weird thing is that Rufus lives in 1815, so more than 150 years earlier. Somehow every time Rufus is in danger, Dana transports back into time to save him. Dana is a black woman and Rufus is a white boy who lives at a plantation. So every time Dana travels back in time, she is assumed to be a slave. That is the premise of this book. It sounds so interesting and so unique, and I do love the concept of having two time periods sort of connect with each other and challenge ideas from the past and how things have changed. And just again, this is a book with such a different kind of story, or like a unique way of telling a story. I don't know, I'm such a sucker for premises like this. From what I've seen, the reviews for this one are very good and very positive, so I cannot wait to see like how it's going to unfold and what is going to happen. And it just sounds like a very important story and something that is just going to be, yeah, I don't know. It's hard to say, but I really cannot wait to read it because it sounds amazing. The next up I have a historical fiction book, and that is The Underground Railroad by Colson Whitehead. It's about a woman named Cora who is a slave at a plantation in Georgia. Her life, very understandably, is horrible and she is looking for a way to escape. So when she has the opportunity to escape with another slave through something that is called the Underground Railroad, she takes it immediately, and I believe the rest of the book is about her journey to freedom and all the problems that she is facing and all the difficulties. And from what I've gathered, there's also a slave catcher going after her, so that sounds, yeah, very intense. As I mentioned many times before, I am such a huge fan of historical fiction. I love reading historical fiction, but somehow I've never read anything of this place and this time period. So I'm very excited to delve into this piece of history and to read this story about it. With a premise like this, it's probably going to be very intense and heartbreaking and everything. So yeah, I hope I can read it sometime soon because it does sound like a book that I will love. And then the final book that I got in the mail is actually a new release, and that is my Calamity Jane by Cynthia Hand, Brody Ashton and Jodie Meadows. This is the third and I think the final book in the Lady Janey series, which is a book series but more of like a book collection all about different Janes within history or within literature. The first one is My Lady Jane and it's about Lady Jane Grey. The second one is My Plain Jane, which is about Jane air. And this is My Calamity Jane, which is about Calamity Jane, who was, I believe, a sort of cowboy? No, not a cowboy, but I don't know, a sharpshooter or like a badass woman in the Wild West in America. As you can probably tell, I know absolutely nothing about Calamity Jane. I hadn't heard from her at all before I read the title of this book. But she was a real figure in American history, and yeah, I do want to read something about her before I start this book. Because in case you don't know, the Lady Janie series takes these stories and they completely twist it around and make it into something different, but it's always hilarious. And I feel like I will enjoy it so much more if I at least know a little bit about My Calamity Jane or just Calamity Jane. Yeah, it is just, I don't know that much about those kinds of things in American history, but it sounds epic and like so much fun, and I just know I will love it because I love the other two books so much, and yeah, I cannot wait for it. It's going to be hilarious and so funny, I'm sure of it. And it's probably also going to be a bit different because also this book is so much bigger than I had expected. It's the biggest out of the three. Also, this is the only one that is set in America. The other two are set in English history and this is American history, and I've just opened the first page and it's already going full cowboy western-ish with its language, and I know it's going to be so much fun. So I cannot wait for it. I want to read this one very soon as well, but first I have to do some research on My Calamity Jane. Calamity Jane. I sort of say My Calamity Jane automatically now. So new books, as always, I buy way too many books, and as always I'm so excited with them, and I just... I probably shouldn't buy that many books anymore because I really don't need any more. But yeah, I will probably do it anyway. So yeah, what am I talking about? I probably will buy books before I know it again. It is Monday, the first week of the Make Your Myth-taker readathon is now officially over. And I have good news because yesterday I finished both The Other Berlin Girl and Out of the Easy. So I've reached my goals for this week for the readathon. So The Other Berlin Girl I always give 5 out of 5 stars because of nostalgic reasons. Because I love it so much and it's a book that means so much to me. Even though if I were to look at the quality itself without all those nostalgic feelings, I feel like it's more of a 4 out of 5 star read. Maybe 3.5 out of 5 stars, but for me personally, it's always a 5 star. Had the best time listening to this one again. So yeah, very happy that I got this one done for the first challenge of the readathon. And then of course also Out of the Easy. I have to say the final bit of it felt a bit more unfocused. Suddenly there were a couple of new plot lines out of nowhere, and some older plot lines didn't get a lot of attention anymore, and it felt a bit all over the place. I still liked it, but during the final part I had more trouble really keeping my mind on this book because I felt like I could sort of predict what was going to happen, and yeah, I don't know. It was okay, it was fine, but I think I definitely liked the first half better than the last half, so in the end I gave it 3.5 out of 5 stars. It was good, it was entertaining, but I don't think it's in the same category as Ruta Sepetys' other historical fiction works. Those are just so much more impactful and so much more powerful and better, and this one is perfectly fine and entertaining, and it definitely has some very good themes. But overall I was also bored towards the end because it just felt like it was going everywhere and I wasn't really sure what I was rooting for anymore. So yeah, sort of conflicted about this one I guess, but it's fine and I'm happy that I finished it. I finished Dulce yesterday, and then last night I sort of fell into reading Kindred by Octavia A. Butler, the book that I received earlier this week. And what I actually didn't know is that this book was actually published and written in the 1970s, because apparently I'm an idiot and I never know when books are published and when books are older, but this one is a bit older. And because the premise was so intriguing and so interesting, I just sort of started reading the first chapter and I was really addicted straight away. So I think this is the next book I'm going to read. Not sure if I'm going to, yeah, I think so. I'm now page 29, so I haven't read much of it, but so far I am intrigued enough that I basically want to just finish it before I read anything else. It's not the book that I originally had on my TBR for like the next book I was going to read for Make Your Myth-taker. But as I mentioned before, the rules aren't really like all that strict anymore, so you can do whatever you want. So I think I'm going to read this one first and then see what else I'm going to do with my TBR. Just having some fun and reading what I feel like. So yeah, I guess that's what readathons are all about, that you read what you want to read, and yeah, I'm going to see what I think of this one in the next reading vlog, like next week. And yeah, that is it for this weekly reading vlog. And yeah, I'm pretty happy with how I've done. I think it has been pretty successful when it comes to the readathon. I mean, I finished 2 books, so yeah, very pleased with that. Happy that I got that done. And I had 2 books finished in the first week of June. So yeah, I think it's going pretty okay. And I'm very excited to see how my reading is going to be for the rest of the month. So yeah, I hope that will be just as successful as this week has been. But then this was it for this reading vlog. And as always, I really hope you enjoyed it and that you liked it. And if you did, maybe go subscribe or give it a thumbs up or leave a comment or whatever. As always, I would really appreciate that. And then hopefully I will see you again very soon in one of my next videos. Bye!